You're literally waiting to die.
It doesn't bother me. It's something I accepted a long time ago.
In his final interviews, Ramiro Gonzales constantly reminded everyone how he had prepared his mind for death. But one thing he found truly morbid was filling out all the paperwork for his own body. "I can handle knowing I'm going to die," he said. "But having to decide what happens to my remains, who gets my belongings, what my last meal will be, that's when it becomes real." This is the story of a man who spent over 2 decades on death row for killing his girlfriend back on July 13, 2001. That's when 18-year-old Bridget Townsend disappeared from her boyfriend's house in Bandera, Texas. Before we dive into this story, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any of our uploads. Now, the story. July 13, 2001 started as an ordinary summer day in Bandera, Texas. 18-year-old Bridget Townsend was at her boyfriend Ramiro Gonzales' house, but she had come there with a difficult mission. She was planning to end their relationship. Bridget had been dating Ramiro for several months, but friends say she had grown uncomfortable with his possessive behavior and sudden bursts of anger. That Saturday, she decided it was time to break things off. What happened next would haunt 2 families forever. When Bridget tried to leave, Ramiro snapped. He couldn't accept that she was walking away from him. In a rage fueled by rejection and control, he grabbed Bridget and forced her into his car. Ramiro drove Bridget to a remote area outside of town. There, in an isolated field, he sexually assaulted her. But his violence didn't stop there. Ramiro then shot Bridget in the head, execution style. But perhaps the most chilling part of this crime wasn't the murder itself. It was what Ramiro did next. He dug a shallow grave and buried Bridget's body in that lonely field. Then he drove home and went to sleep. The next morning, when Bridget's family realized she was missing, Ramiro joined the search parties. He helped put up missing person posters with Bridget's smiling face. He comforted her crying mother. He even gave interviews to local news stations, pleading for anyone with information to come forward. "Please, if anyone has seen Bridget, just let us know she's safe," he said on camera, his voice breaking with what seemed like genuine emotion. For over a year, Ramiro lived this double life. He attended Bridget's memorial services. He hugged her family members at community vigils. He watched her parents age years and months as they desperately searched for their daughter. All while knowing exactly where she was. The guilt finally became too much. In January 2003, 18 months after the murder, Ramiro confessed to police and led them to Bridget's remains. When investigators found her body, they discovered something that made the crime even more horrific. Bridget had been buried with her hands bound and a gag in her mouth, suggesting she may have still been alive when Ramiro put her in the ground. Ramiro's trial began in 2005. The evidence against him was overwhelming: his own confession, DNA evidence, and the location of Bridget's body that only her killer could have known. But what shocked the courtroom wasn't just the brutality of the crime, it was Ramiro's apparent lack of remorse. During testimony, he showed little emotion as prosecutors described how he had deceived Bridget's family for over a year. Bridget's mother, Patricia Townsend, gave a victim impact statement that brought the entire courtroom to tears. "You didn't just kill my daughter," she said, staring directly at Ramiro. "You tortured our entire family for 18 months, watching us suffer while you knew the truth." The jury took less than 2 hours to find Ramiro guilty of capital murder. The death penalty phase took even less time. In 2006, at age 24, Ramiro Gonzales was officially sentenced to death and transferred to the Polanski unit in Livingston, Texas, home to the state's death row. His new home was a 6 by 10-foot concrete cell with a metal bed, a toilet, and a small desk. This would be his world for the next 18 years. But something unexpected happened in that tiny cell. Instead of becoming bitter or violent like many death row inmates, Ramiro began what he would later call his journey toward understanding myself. He started by earning his GED, then enrolled in college courses through the prison's education program. Year after year, Ramiro studied. He earned a bachelor's degree in sociology, then a master's degree. He learned to speak fluent Spanish and became conversational in several other languages. Prison officials noticed the change. This wasn't the same angry young man who had murdered his girlfriend. This was someone genuinely trying to understand why he had committed such a horrible act. As the years passed, Ramiro became something almost unheard of on death row, a positive influence. He started tutoring other inmates, helping them earn their GEDs. He mediated disputes between prisoners. He even began corresponding with victims' rights organizations, not to ask for sympathy, but to better understand the pain he had caused. "I can't undo what I did," he wrote in one letter. "But I can spend whatever time I have left trying to understand why I did it, and maybe help others avoid the same path." Ramiro also began writing to Bridget's family. Not asking for forgiveness, he knew he didn't deserve it, but expressing genuine remorse for the years of torture he had put them through. In one particularly powerful letter to Bridget's mother, he wrote, "I know my apologies mean nothing to you, and I understand why. But I want you to know that not a day goes by that I don't think about what I stole from you. Not just Bridget's life, but all the moments you should have had with her." Prison chaplains said Ramiro had found genuine faith during his time on death row. He spent hours each day in prayer and meditation, wrestling with the magnitude of what he had done. But Texas doesn't keep people on death row forever. After 18 years of appeals and legal delays, the inevitable finally arrived. In early 2024, Ramiro's execution date was set, October 16, 2024. When you're scheduled to be executed in Texas, the state requires you to fill out extensive paperwork for your own death. "It's surreal," Ramiro said in his final interview. "You're literally planning your own death like it's a business transaction. There are forms for everything. Your last meal, you can request almost anything, but it has to cost less than $40. Your final statement, what you want to say before they inject the lethal drugs? Your remains? Burial or cremation? Who should claim your body?" Ramiro chose a simple last meal, cheese pizza, Dr. Pepper, and chocolate chip cookies. "The same things I loved as a kid," he explained, "before I became the person who could hurt someone." His final weeks were spent writing letters to Bridget's family, to his own family, to fellow inmates, and to anyone who had shown him kindness during his 18 years on death row. 3 days before his execution, Ramiro received his final visitors. His mother, his siblings, and his spiritual advisor spent hours talking with him through the prison glass. They weren't saying goodbye to the 18-year-old who committed murder. They were saying goodbye to the 42-year-old man who had spent half his life trying to make amends for an unforgivable act. On October 16, 2024, Ramiro Gonzales woke up in his death row cell for the last time. He spent the morning reading, writing final letters, and meeting with his spiritual advisor. At 6 p.m., he was escorted to the death chamber. Bridget Townsend's family was there to witness his execution, something they had waited 23 years to see. Ramiro's final statement was brief. "To Bridget's family, I'm sorry for the pain I caused. I hope my death brings you peace. To my family, thank you for never giving up on me. To everyone who helped me become a better person in here, thank you for showing me it's never too late to change." At 6:50 p.m., Ramiro Gonzales was pronounced dead. An end to his 42 years on Earth. Ramiro Gonzales' story forces us to confront difficult questions about justice and redemption. He committed an unforgivable crime as a teenager, then spent 18 years genuinely transforming himself. But Bridget Townsend would have been 41 years old today. She never got the chance to grow, to change, to become the person she was meant to be. Perhaps that's why Ramiro faced his execution with such acceptance. He understood that some debts can only be paid with a life. What are your thoughts on this case? Can genuine transformation matter when weighed against an unforgivable act? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more thought-provoking true crime stories.